known as Granny Rocks.
And hello, everybody. My name is James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James.
And I hope you are sweet tonight. So tonight I want to talk about something that's on so many of our minds. And the topic is whether we think our side is winning or losing, or whether we think we are winning or losing. How do we handle it? And I think this is extremely relevant to the moment, so I'm very anxious to talk to you about this. And Elizabeth has already said hello, and hello, Elizabeth, I'm so glad to see you. Really, a friend in the crowd. But before we get onto the topic, as people are gathering, James, would you like to introduce people to our show?
Welcome, everybody, to Granny Rocks, where Granny, Beth, shares with us her wisdom and her very young common sense every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks for coming, and we look forward to hearing what Granny has to share, and we welcome your chats, your questions, comments, and Granny always responds sooner or later, depending on when you send it in. So, without further ado, yes, here's Granny. Yes.
Thank you. Hi, Kat said a hi, and she sent a heart. Thank you. So happy to see our friends already gathering tonight. So, what I'm talking about is not only related to the political situation and the election and so on. So,
in the United States.
Mm-hmm,
yeah, in the United States.
Right. But I would like to kind of set a stage here, and then I'm going to go on and talk about that because a lot of people are distressed, and I want to help if I possibly can. First of all, we need perspective. Life has surprising twists and turns. And just because in one moment you think you're winning, or one moment you think you're losing, you really don't know until it's all over, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the win? What's the loss? I'm going to give you an example of a guy, yes, a guy, that I really liked and was attracted to, and he was already married, and I didn't, mess around or anything. But I felt like, he's married to a witch. He should be, why can't I get a guy like that? Not necessarily that guy, but a guy like that. Well, as it turned out, this man became extremely ill, and his wife was a real fighter, and she really fought for him. And as a result, I'm sure that she saved his life.
Mm.
And in addition to that, she took care of him. Now, I'm sick. I can't take care of anybody. That would have been a terrible match. So that loss on my side was a win for everybody.
It was for the highest good.
It was for the highest good. So things did turn out better than I thought because I didn't win. So you never know when you are, quote, losing, whether or not that's actually going to be a loss. Now, the second point that I want to make, these are general points about winning and losing and all of that. Things turn in life. I remember very distinctly as a young woman that abortion was illegal, and I was going to have to go to Pennsylvania to some bar somewhere in order to get an abortion. And it was very dangerous, and I probably would not have made it, because I don't have good health. I didn't have good health then. So I had a miscarriage. Thank God I had a miscarriage, and I was saved from that. But my goodness, then there came a period where there was Roe v. Wade and abortion became legal. Well, honestly, I never thought we would be arguing about abortion again. Mm-hmm. So, what was that? In the 70s?
That was 1973.
73. So you see how things change, how you just don't know. And Todd said hi,
Hi,
and we are
Todd.
happy to hi you back. So sometimes there's backlash. When you have a win, there might be backlash, and so you think you're winning, and in the end, all you're doing is sowing the seeds of another crisis, another perspective, another movement against what you believe in. And then I'm going to give you another example.
By the way, I'd just like to mention that happens with the Democrats and the Republicans over and over and over. You know, one side wins
Yes.
and the other side mobilizes to bring them down.
Exactly. There's always the pendulum swing, which I could talk about another time. It's discouraging. But anyway, on the other hand, I never thought that a democratic socialist would be running for the presidential nomination, and it happened.
Yeah.
I never thought that was going to happen. So things can change, and in ways that we least expect. Tracy says hi, and
Hi, Tracy.
she sends a caring, and we're sending caring back to you, Tracy. So we need to keep a bigger perspective and not get caught up in our hysteria, in our emotions, in our anger, and in our partisanship, because we need to look. If, quote, your side wins tonight, it might be the biggest disaster that ever befell you. You just don't know.
You just don't know.
You don't know. So what does that mean to us tonight? Now, obviously, we have an example now of an election. Now, I'm not taking any kind of position on politics, because then they won't let me boost this, and I don't want to do that. But frankly, we are at a deep divide. I can't understand why they voted for the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they can't understand why I voted for the guy I voted for. And that's the divide. We can't even understand why the other person is doing what they're doing. It looks like we see things entirely differently, and it seems even that we have different values, and maybe we do. But one thing I want to bring up, and I want to talk about several aspects of this, especially tonight when things are so uncertain and people are so stressed. We have to realize that there will be despair on the other side if our guy wins, whoever our guy is.
Mm-hmm.
There will be despair. And how many of us are actually thinking about the despair of the people on the other side if they lose? And how many of them are thinking about the despair on our side if we lose? So I hate the win-lose paradigm, don't you? How it completely wipes out our comprehension, our compassion, our understanding, and our ability to connect to others. And then, who has won if we can't connect to one another? We can't come together on some human level. So, let's look at that. Let's not gloat if our side is winning tonight, and it may be losing tomorrow anyway. And let's not despair if we think that we have lost. What can we do? How can we handle this incredibly stressful, polarized situation? First, we can focus on what we're learning. What are we learning about ourselves and others? What are we learning about the people on the other side? Do we even want to learn anything about the people on the other side? Todd says, I hate the win-lose paradigm too. It's unfortunately the way our system is set up. You get to win or you get to lose. But in fact, it's not that simple, is it? Because winners can lose and losers can win, as I've been talking about. So what are we learning about ourselves? What are we learning about others? The second thing I want to bring out tonight is we should keep the bigger perspective. We just don't know. Let's say our guy loses. Maybe there is going to be a revolution in the ranks that was supporting our guy. To tell you the truth, I didn't even support our guy. Totally. And I want to see something entirely different. But I wasn't given that choice because I was given a paradigm where I had to vote for this one or that one. And that does not allow us to really look deeply into anything or to find something that really works, and yet we were forced to make that choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next thing that I want to share tonight, as we are observing what's happening, and it could be several days before we have the outcome of this election, is that we should continue to walk the same path, regardless of who wins. My guide doesn't represent what I believe in, and your guide does not represent what I believe in. And if I believe that I'm on a path of justice and caring, then I need to walk that same path regardless of who wins. So I'm not going to get blown over by the wind of what happened. I want to fight for a society that meets the needs of people in the earth, and I don't see that happening anywhere. So regardless of what happens, instead of sitting there saying, oh my God, this is so terrible. It's like saying, stick to your path, guys, stick to your path. A path of justice, a path of compassion, a path of inner revolution. That's what I want. Now, another point I would like to make is don't get angry or try to crush the opposition. Lisa said such a valid point. Thank you, Lisa. Oh my God, it's so good to see you. Evie is doing great after getting her spaying surgery.
That's the puppy we got from Lisa.
Yes. Don't get angry or try to crush the opposition. All you're doing is feeding that win-lose paradigm and creating the conditions for the backlash. You know, in Germany after World War I, it has been said or posited that the crushing terms of the Allies' defeat of the Germans laid the foundation for Hitler. Don't try to crush, because people don't like to be crushed. And they get angry and they feel the need to defend themselves. And this is a terrible thing that happens. So don't try to crush the opposition or get angry. Try to understand, as I said in the beginning, what are we learning about ourselves and others? How can we come together? What do we have in common? And I want to get to that very point in a moment. You know, we've just gone through some devastating wildfires. We are very lucky that our house was saved, but our infrastructure is down. Our phones and our cell service and our post office and our,
Medical center
and all of that. And we're still struggling. It's been like 2 months already that things are very difficult. But remember that the neighbor or the firefighter or the sheriff's officer who saved our house or saved our asses because he or she told us to evacuate might be from a different political party. And yet we needed them and they saved us. And we have to remember that. And we have to remember that on both sides. Let's also remember, guys, to have compassion for those who think they are losing, because they are also in despair and they are worried and they're afraid that they're going to be crushed and that they're going to lose their autonomy or their power or something that's very valuable to them. So we need to have compassion for them. And I want us right now to send chi energy, loving energy, life force energy to those people who are, quote, on the other side. because they need to feel that we love them and care about them. Just like we need to feel that they love and care about us.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't get so scared.
Yeah. So we're just intending to send
Yes.
this, transmitting this energy of love, compassion, caring.
So let's do that together. Think about the people who are on the, quote, other side. And know that they are distressed. Just as we're distressed when we think that we're losing. And feel that love and compassion. And I think my final point, if, I don't know if Sweet Baby James has something to share. Of course, we would like to share a little bit about our other programs, or if someone else has something to share. Remember to love. Remember to love. What are we doing if we're not loving? Are we loving the earth? Are we loving immigrants? Are we loving black people? Are we loving people who we think are oppressed? But then, are we also loving the other people who we think are not being loving?
Yeah, I'd like to share something.
Good.
Something I learned when I got training in mediation is look past the positions people are taking and look to the underlying needs and different ways in which those needs can be met so that people can come together around meeting those needs. And this is something I've heard Beth talk about a lot too, is regardless of the labels, we all have common needs. We all have common ways of coping, needs to cope and make it through life. And if we can meet around those common needs, we can arrive at a greater degree of oneness and unity than when we polarize and take positions and then fight to defend those positions.
Absolutely, James. So, if we don't do that, what are we for?
Yeah.
What are we really for? We can pay lip service to being for people and the earth, but if we only judge and condemn, we aren't doing it. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who don't agree with what I'm saying tonight. What can I say? I'm just putting forward. Oh, Lisa said, and kindness. Oh, and Victoria said, glad to see you and James here again. It's better to be kind than to argue or say mean things. Yes, society with a lot more justice and equality is what we need.
Right on,
Yes.
Victoria.
And Lisa said, poor baby, glad she's well. She's talking about our puppy. And Amy said, thank you for your wisdom in a moment of awful polarization. Other choices we have. Let's make the choice. Let's make the choice to learn about ourselves and others. Let's make the choice to keep the bigger perspective and see that time passes and surprises happen and not freak out because of one thing. Let's continue to walk a path if it feels like a path of justice or compassion. Let's not get angry or try to crush the opposition, no matter how tempted we might be. Let's not get distracted from what's important, what we really are aiming for. Let's remember that the neighbor who saved our house from a fire may be a member of a different political party, and yet we needed them and they were kind to us. Let's have compassion for those who think that they are losing, because they may be suffering. And remember to love. Please come back every Wednesday. By that time, we'll know who won the American election, and hopefully we'll be on a better footing by that time. And we also have a live stream. So this is at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time every Wednesday. Granny Rocks. And then on Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, I play the piano. and it's called Dreams of Peace. And I try to put out calming, centering, uplifting energy, which we all desperately need. So I want to thank you so much for the support that you have shown to us tonight. And please like this show, love it. Please share it.
And may peace be with you.
Everybody needs to hear this. And please comment. If you're not commenting here live, I'll come back. I always check the comments and the likes and the loves afterwards. So let's try to get into a moment here of peace. Lisa said, love is truly the answer to all the hurt. It's so true, honey. It's so true. And sometimes it's so difficult when I hate the thing that you're doing. And maybe I just don't understand why you're doing it. But can I really differentiate between that and you? That would be good. And we got a love from Jim Gardner. Thank you, Jim. Wonderful to see you. And Lisa said, happy to hear your voices. Hugs. Hugs back. So glad to share this evening with you. Remember this. Listen to this show again if you need to. And let's keep on the path of love, compassion, and justice. Until next week. Until tomorrow night and dreams of peace.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.